Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1. We would like to present about the element of fiction from the story under the title The Two Cats. Before we going to the explanation, I would like to introduce our member. The first member is Salsabila Inarotussofa. The second member is Muh Khoirun Nur Zaini. The third member is me, Syariah Natasya Nurul Jannah. And the fourth member is Kartika Puspa Dewi. And the last member is Andika Esafaisa Firjafirdaus. The first presenter is me, Syariah Natasya Nurul Jannah, and now I would like to explain about the element of fiction. Setting. Number 1, setting time. In former days, there was an old woman who lived in a hut more confined than the minds of the ignorant and more dark than the tombs of misers. For a week or more, this feast would last for a week or more, and while enjoying it, she was wont to exclaim, one day, when reduced to extreme weakness, she, with much exertion, reached the top of the hut. Each morning, when they spread the convivial table, I attend at the palace and there exhibit my address and courage. Next day, I then retire and pass my time till next day in delightful indolence. During my life, I have neither eaten nor seen anything but the old woman's gruel and the flesh of maize. At last, your stately stride have broke you here at last. Pray tell me from whence you come. Next day, accompanied by her companion, the half-starved cat hobbled to the Sultan's palace. On this day, be concealed, and that whatever cat advanced into the field of valor. Number 2, setting place. In a hut. In former days, there was an old woman who lived in a hut more confined than the minds of the ignorant. On the floor, it was enough that she now and then scanned a mouse or observed the print of its feet on the floor. Neighbor's house. She observed a cat stalking on the wall of a neighbor's house. The banquet of the Han of Hatay. From whence have you arrived with so lovely an appearance? You look as if from the banquet of the Han of Hatay. At the palace, I attend at the palace, and there exhibit my address and courage. Abroad, we must ever feel ashamed while you carry so miserable an appearance abroad. Sultan's Palace. Were you to see in the Sultan's Palace and to smell his delicious viands? In a cage, the good advice of all the world is like wine in a cage. In a sieve, or water in a sieve, when bestowed on the headstrong, the field of valor. On this day be concealed, and whatever cat advanced into the field of valor, covered with the shield of audacity. The place of her prey. The moment of flavor of defiance reached her. She flew like an eagle to the place of her prey. In the scale, scarcely had the weight of a mouthful been placed in the scale to balance her hunger, when a driving arrow pierced her breast. Okay, next, character and characterization.
Halo guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this chapter, I will explain about the characters and the characterization of the story Two Cat. Okay, the main character are the old man and the cat from the old hut and the cat from the palace. Okay, we go to the first, that is main character. In this story, the main character that is antagonist, the cat from the old hut. The cat from the old hut is very greedy, ungrateful, and wants to get more than he already had. As told in the story that, but the expected face had taken such possession of purpose imagination that the medicinal counsel of the old woman was thrown away. The protagonist character, that is cat from the palace. cat from the palace likes to lie to other cats, arrogant and haughty. He deceives other cats for his own sake, as in the story it said that the other answer, I'm the Sultan, crumb eater. Each morning when they spread the convivial table, I stand at palace and there exhibit my address and courage from among the rich meats and wheat cakes. I cull a few choice morsels. I then retire and pass my time till next day in delightful indolence. And the next character, that is old woman. The old woman, even though his life is lacking, she is grateful for what she has, as told in the story that, be not deceived, my dearest friend, with the worldly language you have listened to. Abandon not your concern of content. For the cup of the covetous is only to be filled by the dust of the grave, and the eye of cupidity and hope can only be closed by the needle of mortality and the thread of fate. Okay, thank you.
The next is point of view. Story of the two cats is told through the third-person omniscient point of view, as told in a story. In former days, there was an old woman who lived in a hut more confined than the minds of the ignorant, and more dark than the tombs of misers. Her companion was a cat, from the mirror of whose imagination the appearance of breed had never been reflected, nor had she from friends or strangers even heard its name.
Them. The theme of the two cats is about a cat who is ungrateful for the fate of life that God has given to her, until in the end she didn't heed the advice from his owner from not to be greedy. But his fate ended in misfortune. She was surrounded by the royal troops, as told in the story. As for me, she adds in a melancholy tone, during my life I've neither eaten nor seen anything but the old woman's gruel and the flesh of mice. Be not deceived, my dearest friends, with the worldly language you have learned to. Abandon not your character of content, for the cup of the covetous is only to be filled by the dust of the grave, and the eye of cupidity and hope can only be closed by the handle of morality and the sword of fate. Securely had the weight of mouthful be placed in the scale of balance her hunger, when a herd dividing around bursts her breath.
The next is problem and conflict. 1. Problem. An old woman's cat who eats the flesh of mice every day is dissatisfied with her life. She is jealous with the cat from the Sultan's palace who has a prosperous life, and then she asks her cat friend to take her to the Sultan's palace, as told in a story. The old dame's cat requested to know what rich meat was and what taste sweet cakes had. As for me, she added in a melancholy tone, during my life I have neither eaten nor seen anything but the old woman's gruel and flesh of mice. And the old woman's cat addressed the other in the most supplicating manner. "Oh, my sister," she exclaimed, "have I not the sacred claims of a neckbird upon you? Are we not linked in the ties of kindred? What prevents your giving a proof of friendship? by taking me with you when next you visit the palace. Perhaps from your favor plenty may flow to me, and from your patronage I may attain dignity and honor. 2. Conflict. The conflict is internal, the old woman's cat versus self, as told in a story. Should I escape from this terrific archer? I will be satisfied with my mouse and the miserable hut of my old mistress. My soul rejects the honey if accompanied by sting. Content with the most frugal fare is preferable.
Okay, next is five takes of plot. The first is exposition. The exposition of the story of two cats is: in former days there was an old woman who lived in a hut more confined than the minds of the ignorant and more dark than the tombs of misers. Her companion was a cat, from the mirror of whose imagination the appearance of bread had never been reflected, nor had she from friends or strangers ever heard its name. And the cat fantasized a lot about luxury, because where the old woman lived, the cat she was always complaining and forming extravagant and fantastic schemes in her imagination. The statement in the story is: in former days there was an old woman who lived in a hut more confined than the minds of the ignorant and more dark than the tombs of misers. Her companion was a cat, from the mirror of whose imagination the appearance of bread had never been reflected, nor had she from friends or strangers ever heard its name. It was enough that she knew and then sketched a mouse, or observed the print of its feet on the floor, when, blessed by favoring stars or benignant fortune, one fell into her claws. She became like a beggar who discovers a treasure of gold. Her cheeks glowed with rapture and past grief was consumed by present joy. This feast would last for a week or more, and while enjoying it she was wont to exclaim, "Am I, oh God, when I contemplate this, in a dream or awake, am I to experience such prosperity after such adversity?" But as the dwelling of the old woman was in general the mansion of famine to this cat, she was always complaining, and forming extravagant and fanciful schemes. The second is racing action. The racing action of the story of two cats are: 1. The old lady cat met another cat who was so fat and slender. The statement is: one day, when reduced to extreme weakness, she, with much exertion, reached the top of the hut. When there she observed a cat stalking on the wall of a neighbor's house, which, like a fierce tiger, advanced with measured steps, and was so loaded with flesh that she could hardly raise her feet. The old woman's friend was amazed to see one of her own species so fat and sleek. 2. The cat who met the old woman's cat explained how her body got fat and slim. The statement is: the other answered, I am the Sultan's crumb eater. Each morning, when they spread the convivial table, I attend at the palace, and there exhibit my address and courage. For among the rich meats and rich cakes, I cull a few choice morsels. I then retire and pass my time till next day in delightful indolence. 3. The old lady cat complains about her life to the cat she met at the top of her hut. The statement is: the old dame's cat requested to know what rich meat was, and what taste wet cakes had. As for me, she added, in a melancholy tone, during my life I have neither eaten nor seen anything but the old woman's gruel and the flesh of mice. 4. The old woman's cat begged to be brought to the Sultan's palace, and the Sultan's crumb-eating cat granted her wish and promised to meet the old woman's cat the next day. The statement is: the old woman's cat addressed the other in the most supplicating manner. "Oh, my sister," she exclaimed, "have I not the sacred claims of a neighbor upon you? Are we not linked in the ties of kindred? What prevents your giving a proof of friendship, by taking me with you when next you visit the palace? Perhaps from your favor plenty may flow to me, and from your patronage I may attain dignity and honor. Withdraw not from the friendship of the honorable, abandon not the support of the elect. The heart of the Sultan's crumb-eater was melted by this pathetic address. She promised her new friend to accompany her on the next visit to the palace. 5. The old woman's cat confided the good news to the old woman, and the old woman gave her friend a warning. But this advice was ignored by the cat. The statement is, the latter, overjoyed, went down immediately from the terrace, and communicated every particular to the old woman, who addressed her with the following conceit: Be not deceived, my dearest friend, with the worldly language you have listened to. Abandon not your corner of content, for the cup of the covetous is only to be filled by the dust of the grave, and the eye of cupidity and hope can only be closed by the needle of mortality and the thread of fate. It is content that makes men rich. Mark this. Ye avaricious, who traverse the world, he neither knows nor pays adoration to his God, who is dissatisfied with his condition and fortune. 6. The old lady cat still goes to the Sultan's palace with the crumb-eating cat of the Sultan. The statement is, next day, accompanied by her companion, the half-starved cat hobbled to the Sultan's palace. 7. The day before, a legion of cats surrounded the party at the Sultan's palace and disturbed the guests. The statement is, a whole legion of cats had the day before surrounded the feast and made so much noise that they disturbed the guests. Third is climax. The climax of the story of two cats is, the Sultan ordered some archers to kill the cats who would come to the feast the next day after they had eaten their first bit, just in time for the old lady cat to arrive. The statement is, and in consequence, the Sultan had ordered that some archers armed with bows from Tartary should, on this day, be concealed, and that whatever cat advanced into the field of valor, covered with the shield of audacity, should, on eating the first morsel, be overtaken with their arrows. The old dame's post was not aware of this order. Fourth is falling action. The falling action of the story of two cats is, the old lady cat was shot right in the heart. She fled along with the blood rushing out. The statement is, scarcely had the weight of a mouthful been placed in the scale to balance her hunger, when a heart-dividing arrow pierced her breast. A stream of blood rushed from the wound. She fled in dread of death. Fifth is resolution. The resolution of the story of two cats is, the old lady cat regrets not listening to the advice of her friend, the old lady. The statement is, after having exclaimed, should I escape from this terrific archer? I will be satisfied with my mouse and the miserable heart of my old mistress. My soul rejects the honey if accompanied by the sting. Content with the most frugal part is preferable.
Okay, that's all presentation from our group. Thank you very much for your best attention and forgive us if we made many mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.